Hi boys and girls, Miss Corkins here. Happy Wednesday. Today we're going to cover Unit 9, Chapters 5 and 6. You are going to need your reader and your packet and a pencil. All right, let's get started. Our objective today is I can describe the climate, landforms, and industry of the Midwest region for Chapter 5, and then in Chapter 6, it's I can describe the climate, landforms, and industry of the Great Plains region. So today, the two regions we're covering is the Midwest and the Great Plains. Our agenda is we're going to start with a quick warm-up. Remember, our warm-ups are super short and sweet, and you don't have to write them down. It's just kind of like a good think aloud. We're going to review what we learned previously on chapters 3 and 4. Then we're going to look at the chapter 5 big question. I will read chapter 5 to you, and then you're going to read chapter 6. Then I'm going to go over student work expectations and then some reminders and goodbyes. Our warm-up today is, what did you take away from chapters 3 and 4? What did you learn? So go ahead and just take a few minutes, pause the video if you have to, and think about what you learned in chapters 3 and 4. Now that you had a few minutes to think about your warm-up, here are some things that we learned in Chapter 3. So in Chapter 3, we learned that the Mid-Atlantic region is made up of states, New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Maryland, and Delaware. We also learned that New York City has many cultural attractions such as theaters and museums, and that is a diverse city of immigrants. We also learned that Washington, D.C. is the nation's capital. It's the home to many government buildings and monuments, and including the National Mall. In Chapter 4, we learned that there are many states in the South, including Virginia, North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, Florida, West Virginia, Kentucky, Tennessee, Alabama, Mississippi, Arkansas, and Louisiana. Whew, that's a mouthful. The Gulf Stream keeps the climate in the South warmer than in the Mid-Atlantic region and New England regions. The South is home to large cities, including Atlanta, New Orleans, Memphis, and Nashville. And the region is also home to the Great Smoky Mountains National Park. So our Chapter 5 big question. So this is the big thing that we're going to take away from Chapter 5 today, and that is, how is life different in rural parts of the Midwest compared to the most busy cities? Chapter 5, the Midwest. Exploring the Midwest. Leaving New Orleans, we follow the Mississippi River north. Hundreds of miles later, we reached another large city. The map said it was St. Louis, in the state of Missouri. Missouri is in the area of the Americans called the Midwest. Also part of this region are states to the north and east: Ohio, Michigan, Indiana, Illinois, Wisconsin, Minnesota, and Iowa. Rivers and lakes are major features of this region. We stopped for a while in St. Louis. There we took a ride on a river in a large wooden boat with smokestacks. The boat was built to look like a paddle wheeler, one of the boats that used to travel up and down the Mississippi in the 1800s. The most interesting thing that we saw from the paddle wheeler was a huge shiny arch of steel standing on the riverbank. The guide on the boat called this the Gateway Arch. She said it was the tallest monument in the United States, even taller than the Washington Monument. So here in this next to it is the map of the Midwest region, and you can kind of notice on the borders of the map, it shows kind of some of the characteristics of things that the Midwest is really known for, including corn, baseball. It looks like there is like ponds and lakes. So these are just some characteristics of this region. Reading about the Midwest in a library, we found out that the area has always been very important for agriculture. In Iowa and Illinois, we saw many farms where they grow crops such as corn and soybeans. The cornfields were an especially impressive sight, with their thousands of tall stalks laid out in neat rows. Later, we found out that there was a lot of corn grown is actually not that Later we found out that a lot of the corn grown is actually not used as food for people. More than half of it's used to feed animals that are raised for their meat or to produce a number of products. Midwestern farmers raise animals for other things too. North of Iowa and Illinois is the state of Wisconsin, which is called America's Dairyland. It seems as if everywhere you go in Wisconsin you see cows. These dairy cows are raised for their milk, which is a popular drink in America. The milk is also turned into other foods, such as cheese and butter. But do not think that the Midwest is all cornfields and dairy farms. Admiral, it is also a number of big cities that are centers of the commerce and industry. The states of Michigan, Wisconsin, Ohio, and Iowa are known as manufacturing. All kinds of goods, including cars. Iowa is leading the way with a new kind of alternative energy and wind power. In fact, Iowa gets more than 30% of its energy from wind. In the northern part of the region, there is huge bodies of water called the Great Lakes. There are 5 of these lakes: Lake Superior, Lake Michigan, Lake Huron, Lake Erie, Lake Ontario. Rivers connect the lakes to the Atlantic Ocean. This makes it possible for Midwestern goods to be shipped from all over the world. But the most amazing thing about the Great Lakes, Admiral, is their size. They were not kidding when they called them great. When we flew over them, they just went on and on, more like seas than lakes. We measured Lake Superior on the map and saw that it was more than 350 miles long. Later, we read that this is the largest freshwater lake on Earth. Oh, that's pretty neat. Visiting the Windy City. Chicago, Illinois is located on the southern shore of Lake Michigan. It is the largest city in the Midwest. Chicago is the center of transportation, where railways from both sides of the United States come together. It is also a major port city. Chicago is the 3rd most populated city in the United States. Los Angeles in California is number 2, and New York, as I said before, is number 1. Chicago reminded us of New York. It is a big, crowded city full of skyscrapers. In fact, we learned that the first skyscrapers in America were built in Chicago back in the late 1800s. We walked through the busy streets. Later, we walked along the shore of Lake Michigan. Wind from the water whipped against us, making us chilly, even though the sun was shining. We had heard that Chicago was called the Windy City, and now we knew why, or so we thought. Later, while studying in the public library, we found out that the real reason for the city's nickname. Long ago, the newspaper writer from New York called Chicago the Windy City. He did so because he believed that the people there were always boasting about how great their city was. You see, Admiral, when Americans think someone talks too much or brags, they say that person is a windbag or full of hot air. We did not think that the people we met were full of hot air, but we did notice that Chicagoans are very proud of their sports team. You see, Admiral, in America, the big cities compete with each other in sports. These are the main sports in America: baseball, basketball, and football. In Chicago, we went to the stadium called the Wrigley Field to watch a baseball game. We enjoyed eating hot dogs, drinking sodas, and yelling along with the crowd. After we left Chicago, we flew over the northern parts of Michigan, Wisconsin, and Minnesota. The land was covered with forests. Not as many people live in this area. Lieutenant Kula had been reading about the animals of the region. She told us about an animal called a wolf. a kind of wild dog which is used to live in many parts of the United States. Over the years, hunters have killed so many wolves that now in northern Minnesota is one of the very few places where wolves still live. Lieutenant Kula said that if we looked closely in the forest, we might also see moose and bears. We had no such luck, but we were still in good spirits on our way to the next region, the Great Plains. So your next chapter you're going to read is chapter 6. It's called The Great Plains. Again, if you want to find the reader, it's just attached to the description of this video, or you can go on our Clever homepage and you can find it there as well. After you're done reading chapter 6, it's time to do your student work. So your student work today is activity page 2.1, and it's called Regions of the United States Chart. So this is a nice chart to kind of help organize your thoughts of the regions that you've been learning over the next few days. So make sure that you're filling out all the information in this chart. You're writing legibly. You do not need to write a complete sentence. You can write note style, that's okay. And for the interesting facts, be sure to include historical and/or cultural facts about the region. And if you need help or you get stuck, please call Miss Corkins. I'm here to help you. All right, so some friendly reminders. Make sure to text pictures of Tuesday's social studies work if you have not done it already. So that was yesterday's assignment. Complete chapter 6. Call and text if you have any questions over the work today. Don't forget to do math and ELA. And also, don't forget you need to complete 30 minutes of iReady reading and iReady math. So you need 30 minutes of each. And also read a book for 20 minutes a day. All right, scholars. That is all for today. And I hope that you have a great day. You get outside, you get to play, and enjoy some of our awesome weather. And I will see you tomorrow. Bye.